For most of Hunter x Hunter, the world feels enormous, with 6 continents and a diverse range of nations and kingdoms all competing for dominance. But the known world we explore at the start of the series is just a set of islands within one great lake on Earth's surface. In today's video, let's go beyond Lake Mobius and explore the biggest mystery in the world of Hunter x Hunter, the Dark Continent. Right until the 13th Hunter Chairman election arc, we believe that Lake Mobius is basically the same as the oceans on Earth. But then, Ging sits down with Gon at the top of the world tree and casually destroys that assumption. Lake Mobius is actually surrounded on all sides by land that dwarfs anything humanity has ever mapped. The land is the Dark Continent. It's where the Chimera ants emerged from and many other horrors lie in wait. That single reveal changes the entire scale of Hunter x Hunter. Think about it. The Hunter exam, York New, Greed Island, and the Chimera ants all happened in the shallow end. The world Gon grew up in is not the main stage of reality. Humanity has built nations, wars, economies, hunter licenses. Before we get into the ongoing expedition to the Dark Continent, we need to look at the historic attempts. The route to the Dark Continent is controlled by magical creatures called the Gatekeepers, and if you want to cross the outer boundary of Lake Mobius, you need to summon a guide through them. The guide leads you across, and at the end of your expedition, when you try to bring your discovery home, the guide sends back with you as a penalty. There have only been 5 successful expeditions to the Dark Continent, and by successful, I mean there was at least one survivor. Each of the 5 successful expeditions was funded by one of the world's major political powers, the V5 nations. But why would a nation sponsor a mission to the Dark Continent? You see, the Dark Continent is home to near mystical resources that have properties that nothing in the known world can match. For example, the first expedition, led by the Bergerose Union, went in search of the unmanned rock. This mineral ore generates electricity when submerged in water, and a small bead has a power output of about 20 megawatts of power a day. The Dark Continent offers humanity miracles, but every miracle comes attached to a curse. In the case of the first expedition, the explorers encountered Pap, a mysterious creature categorized as a human-keeping beast. This creature is said to be small and not physically imposing, but if a human gets close, Pap shrinks them and keeps the human as a pet. We don't know if Pap considers humans property, playthings, or a food source, but some of its victims were brought into the known world and are secretly stored in the basement of the International Permit Agency. The 5 penalties of the successful expedition to the Dark Continent are known as the 5 threats, or the 5 Great Calamities. This is the pattern that makes the Dark Continent so terrifying. Every expedition goes there chasing something that could transform civilization, but every time humanity reaches for one of those miracles, the continent sends something back. Following the expedition that gave us the unmanned rock and Pap, the United States of Saherta sent their elite forces in search of the herb for all illnesses. As its name suggests, this herb is capable of curing over 10,000 known diseases, but the explorers never retrieved it. Instead, they encountered Brionne, a living plant entity connected to an ancient labyrinth city on the Dark Continent's surface. Not much is known about Brionne's abilities, but it annihilated the task force sent to the Dark Continent with ease, leaving only 2 survivors. Brionne's threat level is listed as B+ by the current Hunter Association chairman, and Ging himself rates it higher than that. Brionne sits near ruins that suggest a lost civilization. Nobody knows who built those ruins, what Brionne is protecting, or whether it's even capable of being negotiated with. The Federation of Ochima sent a massive expedition of their own to the Dark Continent in search of nitro rice. 1,100 explorers went searching for this grain that is said to increase human longevity. However, the expedition was cut short when they ran into Hellbell, a twin-tailed snake. What makes Hellbell especially horrifying is the fact that it doesn't try to win by force. Its venom has the ability to infect prey with homicidal desire, turning the entire expedition into killers who hunt their own kind. The Mimbo Republic sent an expedition to the southeast shore of Lake Mobius in search of the Trinity Elixir, a miraculous mother liquid that can be used to create many other desirable products. There, they encountered Eye, a gaseous life form with limb-like appendages extending from its body. 3 people survived the encounter, and none of them came back sane. So what Eye actually does is a mystery. The last of the 5 expeditions was initiated by the Kukanyu Kingdom in search of an alchemy plant named Metallion. The group actually acquired Metallion, but they ran into the only one of the 5 threats that isn't a physical creature. Zobe is a disease that darkens the skin, kills quickly, and according to the lore, is apparently connected to immortality. Only 6 survivors made it back, including Beyond Netero and a hunter who contracted the disease. The hunter who caught the Zobe disease developed a kind of strange self-sustenance, becoming practically immune to death. All of the 5 threats have a threat rating of A or B+, and you need only one reference point to understand what the threat ratings mean. The Chimera ants, Meruem species which killed 500,000 people, required a nuclear warhead and the sacrifice of the the most powerful hunter alive to neutralize, are rated threat level B in the official Hunter Association database. Every single one of the 5 threats is rated higher. Before the present storyline, 2 figures dominated the history of Dark Continent exploration. The first is Don Freese, Gon's ancestor who traveled to the Dark Continent over 300 years before Gon was born. Don crossed over and wrote a travel journey called Journey to the New World, with 2 editions covering the east and the west of the Dark Continent. However, only the east edition has ever been recovered, and Ging's theory is that Don might still be out there compiling data for the west edition. If Ging is right, Don Freese is the greatest survival mystery in the series. Everyone else treats the Dark Continent like a place you enter, steal from, and escape, but Don treats it like a world to actually live in. The second figure is Isaac Netero, who banned any future expeditions to the Dark Continent to avoid hunters sailing to their deaths trying to imitate him. Before he became the chairman of the Hunters Association and the most powerful nin user in the world, a younger Netero traveled to the Dark Continent with 2 companions, Lin Orderve and Zig Zoldyck. He survived 2 expeditions, but what exactly he encountered there is never shown in full. Isaac's own words describe it as a place where strength meant nothing. He was dissatisfied with the fact that he couldn't conquer anything in the Dark Continent, because everything was so powerful that his only real goal was survival. Netero's entire character in the Chimera arc is built around his hunger for a real challenge. He's a man who spent decades searching for something that could push him past his limits, but the Dark Continent is a place so far outside human scale that even a god of a martial artist didn't dare to venture there again. Then there's Beyond Netero, Isaac's son. After his catastrophic expedition to recover Metalion, Isaac Netero banned further Dark Continent travel, declaring it off-limits even to licensed hunters, and personally forbade Beyond from ever going back. And this is where the present storyline kicks in, because Isaac's ban ended the moment he died. Beyond Netero walks out into the open and announces that the Kakin Empire will be funding a new expedition to the Dark Continent, with Beyond as its leader. He dares the V5 nations to stop him, but they can't do anything about it, as the political blowback of a military response against the Kakin Empire would be enormous. So instead, they absorb Kakin into their alliance, forming the V6, and deploy the Hunter Association to supervise Beyond personally. The plan that emerges is layered with deception. The civilian passengers on the Black Whale 1 are told they're sailing toward the Dark Continent, but they're actually being taken to a staging area called the New Continent, which will be presented as the real thing. Only the authorized expedition group will continue past that point toward the true Dark Continent. That's the scale Togashi is working at now, and the Black Whale is so brilliant as a setup. The known world's most dangerous people have all converged on a single vessel, and are all pointed toward the most dangerous place that has ever existed. You can describe the Dark Continent as a place of mystery, danger, and great promise, but that completely ignores its narrative significance. Hunter x Hunter has always been a series about what curiosity costs. The entire series is structured around people asking, what's out there, and walking toward it anyway. The Dark Continent is the final, complete expression of that theme, because it's the one place where human curiosity runs directly into something that just doesn't care. This is not a bigger threat for the heroes to defeat, it's a scale of reality that the heroes cannot defeat. But what do you think? Will we ever see the hunters conquering the Dark Continent? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.